Hello, Lead STEM Academy parents. Greetings from the Lead STEM Academy Counseling Office. It's been a while, and we apologize for the gap in communication. But we're back for our next cast off with the counselors um, for this month, January, the start of 2022. My name is Mr. Sear, Todd Sear. I'm the seventh grade counselor, and here we go. So we'll start off with um, our contact information. In case you weren't aware, if your child is a sixth grader, then their counselor is Mrs. Sims, and there is her email address and phone number. If your child is a seventh grader, then I am their counselor, and there's my email address and phone number. If your child is an eighth grader, then their counselor is Mrs. Murray, and there's her email address and phone number. And we have another member of our department, Miss Bradford, whom I introduced in our last cast off, which was way back in October. Anyway, she's our Safe Schools professional, and there is her email address and phone number. Okay, so what am I going to talk to you about today? I'm going to talk to you about semester two. I'm going to talk to you about second semester STEM Tank. I'm going to share some information that's really vital for our sixth graders. I'm going to tell you about what we've done, what we're doing, and what we will be doing in the counseling office. I'm going to explain what the Panorama survey is. I'm going to touch upon GoGuardian. I'm going to tell you how a student can submit an incident report or some more a report to Safe Voice. I'm going to give you some pointers for Infinite Campus. And finally, I will share some important upcoming dates with you. So let's get started. First of all, semester two started yesterday. As of this recording, semester two started yesterday. That was Wednesday, January 5th. So students get a fresh start at the beginning of each semester. So the grades that they earn in first semester do not carry over to semester two. Clean slate, we call it. Okay, which could be a good thing for some of our students. Talking specifically about schedules, I want to focus on sixth graders and eighth graders because there probably are changes. There will be changes actually in sixth grade and eighth grade schedules. If your student was in art for first semester, they will be moving or did move over to guitar for semester two. If they were in guitar for semester one, then they're going to art for semester two. Um, if your student had their sixth grade foreign language class for semester one, then they will be moving to either PE or dance for semester two. And vice versa. If they had PE or dance for semester one, then they're moving to a foreign language. Remember, we have two choices for our sixth graders in foreign language, Spanish and French. They're not high school credit courses, they're introductory foreign language classes. Now, eighth graders, it's a lot more simplified. Eighth graders get one semester of health and one semester of PE. So if your student was in health for semester one, they are going to PE for semester two, and vice versa. There should be no changes in seventh grade unless we discussed maybe an elective change or a move to a super accelerated class. Okay, let's talk about schedule changes. With the exceptions mentioned earlier, students are expected to remain in their current classes for semester two. Students may not request schedule changes because it's a new semester. A lot of students think, well, it's semester two, I'm going to get out of this elective. No, it doesn't work that way here. Okay. Most electives are for the entire year. There are some exceptions, which I talked about art and guitar for the sixth graders. That's a semester elective. But almost all of our other electives are for the entire year. So we ask students to choose carefully because we don't want you asking for a change when the next semester rolls around. Now, let's talk about reasons for schedule changes. There are legitimate reasons for schedule changes, which we address in the counseling office. And there are illegitimate reasons for schedule changes, which we also address in the counseling office. Legitimate reasons include changes to an individualized education plan. So if a student has an IEP, we might be required to change a class if there's a change in the IEP. If an administrator comes to us and says, hey, we need to move this kiddo, then we have to do that. or if a teacher says, I think this student would be better served in a higher level or lower level or whatever the case may be, we can make those changes. The last one is touchy. If we have a student and a teacher that absolutely do not get along, then we can talk about a schedule change. I will say that needs to be preceded by a conference. Now, what you're seeing on the right, these are the reasons that students give us for wanting to change an elective. These are not legitimate reasons for a change. Student says, I don't like my class, or I don't like my teacher. No, that's not a reason to change a class. I want to be with my friends. Absolutely not. That is not something we consider when we build schedules. I'm bored. This class is boring. I'm sorry, sometimes, your class is not going to be the most exciting class, but you're still expected to stick it out. I want to try something different. I did a semester of guitar in seventh grade. I'm in intermediate. Now I want to try, violin. No, you need to stick with guitar for the year. If you want to try violin, you can try next year or take lessons. But these are reasons that we receive in the counseling office, and we'll tell the students, I'm sorry, no, that's not a legitimate reason. STEM Tank. Okay, moving on to STEM Tank. So STEM Tank ended in December. Hopefully you got a chance to talk to your students about the results. Okay. Well, semester 2 STEM Tank is kicking up in the next 2 weeks. Here's the important information. Whoever your child had as their STEM Tank advisor for semester 1 will continue to be their STEM Tank advisor for semester 2. Okay. No changes in STEM Tank mentors. Mentors will allow students to request their own STEM Tank teams for semester 2 during the first week of January. As a matter of fact, as I'm recording this, the form just went out to students about, 15 minutes ago, that allows students to choose their STEM Tank groups. Whereas first semester they were placed in STEM Tank groups, this semester they get to pick. Obviously, we want them to be wise when it comes to choosing their STEM Tank partners, and they must be students that are in their STEM Tank classes, not somebody that's a best friend with a different teacher. Students that do not request, specific teams within the first week, so they've got till Friday of next week, which is the 17th, I believe. No, I got that wrong. 14th, that's right. Next Friday, the 14th. They have till then to pick their groups. If not, then they're going to be placed in a team by their STEM Tank advisor. Okay, here's some important information. There's a lot of important information coming for our sixth graders. As far as applying to come to LEAD as a seventh grader, sixth grade parents, you don't need to do that. Okay? You do not need to complete a magnet application for the 22-23 school year. Your child is a student at LEAD Academy through 8th grade. Until they go to high school, they're ours. Okay? Unless you withdraw them. If you withdraw your student from LEAD, then obviously they're not a LEAD student anymore and they can't come back. Excuse me. The next time you'll be completing a magnet application, if you stay at LEAD, if your child stays at LEAD, will be when you're applying to high school. When your child's applying to high school, if you're going for a magnet high school, well, that's when you're going to fill out a magnet application. But as far as staying at LEAD for 7th and 8th grade, and this goes to my 7th grade parents too, no more magnet applications. Once you're in, you're in. Okay, so 6th graders are going to be asked next month to choose their CTE, Career and Technical Education Program of Study. We have 3 programs here at LEAD. I'll just briefly tell you. We have Robotics and Automation, we have Architecture, Construction, and Technology, and we have Cybersecurity. I'm going to go into much more detail in the following slides, in the next couple slides. But anyway, 6th graders need to choose their CTE program next month, and they will stay in that program for the rest of their time at LEAD. This is our claim to fame at LEAD, these 3 magnet programs, these 3 CTE programs. So Every student is in one program for their entire time at Lead. They're in that program for 2 years, which is 7th and 8th grade. Like I said, they're going to make their choices next February. Mrs. Sims is going to talk to 6th graders about it. Once a student's in a program, we want that student to stay. It's kind of like the elective. Okay, choose the CTE program and stick with it. We can accommodate about 200 students in each CTE program. And what we do is we take their selections and we go down the list. And, whoever turns in their form first gets first choice. So it's first come, first served. Once a program has topped out at 200 students, most likely what Mrs. Sims will do is give that student their second choice. Okay, so we have to cut off the enrollment in each CT program at about 200. Okay, so I'm not going to read all this to you. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You can read this. You can pause the presentation if you'd like. But here is an in-depth explanation of our 3 CTE programs of study. So the first is computer science and cybersecurity. Okay. Basically, working with computers and keeping computers safe and secure. All right. Moving on. Robotics, automation, and manufacturing. We have a very strong robotics team here at Lead. It is not necessarily made up of our robotics students in the CTE program, but many of them choose to join robotics. It is an elective that 7th graders can take, but you can do both. We have some students who are in the robotics program and they're on the VEX robotics team. So there's an explanation of our robotics program. And then finally, architecture, construction, and technology. And I'll let you read that to yourselves. I will say that all 3 programs involve heavy use of technology and computers. Okay. Okay. So what are we up to? What have we done? What are we doing? Classroom visits are on the agenda for sure. Mrs. Sims is going to pop into 6th grade classrooms this month. Not sure exactly when. We haven't nailed down dates yet. Not sure which classes, but she's going to talk to students about their academic plans, using kind words, problem solving, basic counselor stuff. Academic plans are the courses that the students plan to take for the next couple years, and those are always completed in 6th grade. So what have I been doing? Well, back in November, I popped into the history classes in 7th grade and talked about stress. I started a discussion with my 7th graders about stress management. And I think it went really well. I got some really great responses from my 7th graders. I am by no means done talking to my students about stress because I know they are stressed out. I will be back in January. I'm planning to pop in again in January. I want to talk to students about the difference between good and bad stress because I did introduce that topic to them and their minds were blown. What, there's such a thing as good stress? Yes. So we'll talk about that. And then Mrs. Murray is going to visit her 8th grade classes. She's getting these kiddos ready for high school. So she's going to talk to students about their transcripts, which will be a really important topic, especially in high school. She's also going to address conflict resolution and, of course, stress management because, we know all 3 grade levels are stressed. We're all stressed. I think the world is stressed. It's getting better, though. So anyway, that's the plan going forward for us. We shifted our focus as of yesterday to getting the students ready for next year. Yes, in January, we start thinking about 2022, 2023, believe it or not. What exactly does that mean? Well, 8th graders are going to hear from Ms. Murray about they're going to be able to see some high school presentations. She's going to talk to them about high school credits. Magnet applications for magnet high schools are due January 11th. So, clock's ticking on that one. Um, and of course, she's going to talk to students when they get accepted to Magna High Schools. We love to hear from our students when they get accepted. Um, what am I going to talk to my seventh graders about? Well, obviously, we had to talk about eighth grade schedules. Um, High school credits, that's going to become much more important next year in eighth grade because students have the opportunity to take at least 3 high school credit courses as eighth graders. That would be English 9 honors, Algebra 1 or Geometry honors, and Biology honors. Okay. So I need to talk to students, seventh graders, about the seriousness of taking a high school credit course. Some of them have already got it down, so they're fine. Um, and then Mrs. Sims is going to touch upon, like I said earlier, CTE programs with her sixth graders, and she's going to talk to students about electives. And while I'm on the subject, I also will be talking to seventh graders about electives. February is the month. That's when we're going to ask our current seventh and sixth graders for their elective choices. And I've already got seventh graders that are asking me when the form's going out, so they know. Okay, Panorama Survey. The Panorama Survey is basically a student wellness survey. This was started last year when we were in distance education. And it's a way for us to find students on campus that may not be the most vocal, who are struggling a bit. Maybe they need somebody to talk to. Maybe they need somebody to reach out to them. It's given 3 times a year. So it was already given in the fall, and you may have heard from a counselor or a staff member um, about your child's responses to the Panorama Survey. The window opens January 11th. Okay, so next Tuesday, the window opens. Students answer questions, about their well-being. Um, Based on their responses, we might make contact, we being the counselors, or there's other staff members on campus who have volunteered to help out with the Panorama results. We, the counselors, we base some of our classroom visits on Panorama survey results. I know I took a look at my Panorama survey results for seventh grade when I determined what I was going to talk to them about back in November, and obviously it was stress management. Please tell your child to be honest on the Panorama survey. They're asked questions like, I feel like I belong on campus. I feel like people at school care about me. Tell them, please, to be honest, because if they fake it and they truly need help, we may not be able to reach out to them. Um, and it's anonymous. Nobody else is going to know their results except for those of us on the Panorama team. And it is a great way for us to get in touch with students that may slip through the cracks. And it's all hands on deck. So I don't just talk to my seventh graders. Mrs. Sims doesn't just talk to the sixth graders, and Mrs. Murray doesn't just talk to the eighth graders. All 3 of us reach out to all 3 grade levels. Go Guardian. You are probably aware that there's a program on your child's Chromebook called Go Guardian. Um, it is basically a security protocol program. Okay. If your child is using their Chromebook for something other than its intended purpose, we get an alert. We, the counselors, those of us on the Go Guardian team, there's several of us, administrators are on that team too. The alerts basically fall into 2 categories: explicit and self harm. So, explicit means they were basically looking up sex stuff. And then self harm means they might be in some kind of danger of cutting themselves or hurting themselves or attempting suicide. Um, it's based on what they're looking up. Okay. And yes, mistakes are made. Okay. I've had to call at least 2 parents in the past because students were looking up tying nooses. And you know what? They were decorating their house for Halloween in both cases. Uh, but we still make that contact because you never know. Um, Now, students that use their own devices might not be monitored, most likely won't be monitored by Go Guardian, which is one of the reasons why we insist if your student's a lead, please use a lead Chromebook because that program's already installed. Um, I do want to go off on a tangent a little bit um, from the counseling perspective. We are aware that students are using the Discord website to get around our security parameters. Discord started as a video game sharing side. People were playing video games and recording themselves on Discord. They still do. But for somehow, students have discovered that it's a way to get around our parameters, and they can pretty much look up what they want and say what they want. And we don't get Go Guardian alerts. So we're asking you please to be aware if your children are using Discord. And if you have any questions, just call us. Safe Voice. Safe Voice is an anonymous tip report system. Basically, we ask students if they're aware of a friend who is cutting themselves, hurting themselves, going to attempt suicide, threatening to attempt suicide. In addition to talking to an adult, this is a great resource for that student. The student can report this incident anonymously. They do have to give the name of the person that's making the threats or being threatened, but the information goes to our principal, and then he follows up. If you notice, I included 2 links here. There's a link for students to report Safe Voice, and then there's a link for you. Parents can also make an anonymous report through Safe Voice. So, I also noticed there it says drugs. So anything that's a severe behavior concern, we would like it reported in Safe Voice. And it's good for the kids because it's anonymous. Okay, incident reports. I talk to students on a daily basis about filling out incident reports. So how do they do it? Well, there's a link on the home screen of each student's Chromebook. Looks like a stop sign. Okay, it's an icon with a stop sign, and I believe it says report an incident. Okay, it takes students to a Google form when they click on it, and then they can report their issues such as threats, harassment, bullying, drug and alcohol use, etc. I also want to say this includes incidents involving teachers. If a teacher put his or her hands on a student inappropriately or in a way that made a student uncomfortable, this can be reported in an incident report. I'm not saying that's the only route, but it is one of the ways that this incident can be reported. Once the incident reports are submitted, our assistant principal, Mrs. Williams, in the student success office, she takes a look at them and follows up with the students and the parents. And as you can imagine, she gets inundated on a daily basis. So, if your student has, let's say somebody's been picking on them in the hallway or at lunchtime, encourage them to fill out an incident report. It's a good idea to talk to an adult too, like a counselor. But ultimately, that's what we're going to suggest is that they fill out an incident report. We can also share that information with Mrs. Williams. Infinite Campus. Students come to us all the time. I need my Infinite Campus password. We don't have that. We, the counselors, we don't have access to students' Infinite Campus passwords. We don't control Infinite Campus. What we can do is we can tell them what their username is, and we can help them reset their passwords. There is a process for resetting the password. They don't need us necessarily to do it, but we can certainly help them through that process. We don't control login information for parents. We don't have any login information for parents. Parents that want to be able to log into Infinite Campus, we refer them to Mrs. Pearson, our school registrar. There's her extension 4065. She has access to parents' login information. Now, when all else fails, there's a wonderful hotline that I utilize all the time, and I send it to my students all the time. 702-799-7678. There are technicians on the other end of that line who are trained in Infinite Campus, and they can answer any and every question. They can help students reset passwords. They can help them find their usernames. They do it all. They do it all. And that's their job. Their job is, all day long to address Infinite Campus issues. So if you're having an Infinite Campus issue, that's the number to call. Okay, so what's coming up? Well, I mentioned, that says Monday the 11th. I think that's wrong. It's not Monday the 11th. It's Tuesday the 11th. Tuesday the 11th. I apologize. The window for the Panorama survey opens next Tuesday the 11th. That's the well-being survey I told you about. We are going to have our Q&A, which is your chance to join us online and ask any questions related to this presentation right now. That's going to be on Thursday, January 20th. Don't have a date nailed down yet. Invites will be coming soon. Basically, you get an email from the principal or from one of us with instructions, and you click on the link, and then you're included, and then you get an invite to the Google Meet, and you can join us. Monday the 17th, which is a week from next Monday. No school. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So no school for anybody on Monday the 17th. And then I touched upon this earlier. Starting in February, Mrs. Sims and I, are going to start talking about electives with the 6th and 7th graders. We're going to have them start thinking about what electives do they want to choose for the following year. This does not apply to 8th graders because they're moving on. It's just for our 6th and 7th graders. Now, in addition to that, Mrs. Sims, as I mentioned earlier, is going to talk to our 6th graders about their CTE programs. Now, I'll just tell you that this is going to be on 2 separate forms, 2 Google Forms. There's one Google Form for students to choose their electives, and that's going to go to 6th and 7th graders. And then there's a Google Form for them to choose their CTE program. That's going to 6th graders only. Okay. So there's going to be more information about that coming. But in the meantime, you can let your children know, especially 6th grade parents, 2 forms for 7th grade, one for the CTE program, one for the elective. If they fill out the elective form and they don't fill out the CTE program form, Mrs. Sims is going to have to pick their program for them. On the flip side, if they fill out their CTE program form but don't fill out their elective form, Mrs. Sims is going to have to pick their elective for them. As far as the 7th graders, they only have one form. It's the elective form. If they don't turn it in, I'm choosing their elective, and they do not get to come to me in August and go, I don't want this class. I dealt with that at the beginning of this year. If you do not turn in your elective form, I pick your elective, and that's the end of the story. Okay? All right. So I want to thank you for your attention today. I want to wish you a happy new year, belated happy new year. And we will see you on the 20th of January for our cast-off Q&A. Again, the invites will be coming soon. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Hello, Lead STEM Academy parents. Greetings from the Lead STEM Academy Counseling Office. We are back with our second cast off with the counselors for the year. It's been a long time. Our last one was in October. We apologize for taking so long to get in touch with you again. It's been a year. But anyway, here we are for January. Okay, so here's our contact information. Mrs. Sims is the 6th grade counselor, and that's her email address and her phone number, including her extension. I, Todd Sear, am the 7th grade counselor, and there's my email address and phone number, including my extension. Mrs. Murray is our 8th grade counselor, and there's her email address and phone number, including extension. And finally, we have Miss Bradford, a new addition to the team that I introduced at our last cast off. She's our Safe Schools professional. She works hand in hand with the counseling office. Her expertise is making referrals for outside counseling resources and just talking to students and making them feel secure. And there's her email address and her phone number, including extension. Okay, let's get started. What am I going to talk to you about today? I'm going to discuss semester 2, which started yesterday as of this recording. I'm going to talk to you about STEM Tank for semester 2. I've got some very important information for my 6th grade parents um, regarding the CTE program that your child will be choosing. I'm going to tell you what we have been up to, are up to right now, and will be doing in the future in the counseling office. I'll touch upon our panorama survey. I will tell you a little bit about Go Guardian, maybe refresh your memory. Um, I'll explain how to submit an incident report or to file a safe school report and what that's all about. Um, I will give you some tips for Infinite Campus. And finally, I'll share some important dates with you. Okay. So, semester 2 started yesterday, Wednesday, the 5th of January. Um, as of this recording, that was yesterday. So, that's the first day of semester 2. We consider that a fresh start. Okay. Um, the grades that were earned first semester do not carry over to semester 2. So if you looked at your child's grades in December on Infinite Campus, that was for semester 1. Semester 2 has begun. Those grades do not carry over. Okay, they don't factor into the semester 2 grade. It's a clean slate, a fresh start. Okay, which for some students, that's an advantage because first semester did not go the way they hoped it would. And so the good news is they get a second chance to earn a better grade for semester 2. Okay, so there are going to be some changes in the 6th grade and 8th grade schedules. Okay, regarding electives, if your child chose the art and guitar elective, well, it's time for the switch. Okay, if your 6th grader was in guitar for first semester, then they're moving to art for semester 2. If your 6th grader was in art for first semester, they're moving to guitar for semester 2. Okay, and 6th graders will also switch from foreign language to PE or dance, and vice versa from PE or dance to foreign language. Now, I want to say that the foreign language courses that 6th graders take are not high school credit courses. They are very basic introductory science, Spanish or French introductory classes. Okay. 8th graders also have schedule changes. 8th graders are required to take 1 semester of health and 1 semester of PE per the district. So if your 8th grader took health first semester, they're moving to PE. If your child took PE first semester, they're moving to health for semester 2. Okay. 7th graders, no changes. Okay. We do not have semester long courses. So whatever your child had for first semester will continue into second semester, exact same schedule, with some exceptions. There are some parents that have contacted me and we talked about schedule changes and I made those happen. But generally speaking, 7th graders, no big changes from first to second semester. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about schedule changes. Okay, I mentioned some exceptions to not having a schedule change. All right, so with those exceptions, your students are expected to remain in their current classes for semester 2. They may not request schedule changes because it's a new semester. I know a lot of students come to us in January and say, well, it's semester 2, so I want to move out of blah, 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 blah. No, doesn't work that way. Okay. Our courses are for the year, with the exceptions that I mentioned, the foreign language, the art and guitar, the PE, those, the rest of their classes, their core classes, their English, their math, their science, their social studies, if they're in 7th and 8th grade, those are for the year. They're CTE classes for the 7th and 8th graders. They're for the year. Okay. Most electives, I just said, they're for the entire year. Okay. There are legitimate reasons for students to request a schedule change, and there are illegitimate reasons for students to request a schedule change. And I want to break it down for you. This is by no means all of them. Okay. The legitimate reasons for a schedule change include, but are not limited to, changes to a student's individualized education plan, IEP. If the if the special education department here at Lead has changed the student's IEP and that requires us to change classes, we will. Okay, so that's one legitimate reason for schedule change. If an administrator recommends a student be moved for a particular reason, that's a legitimate reason for schedule change. If a teacher says this student needs a more challenging class, so let's go with super accelerated, or the opposite, this class is too challenging, let's move this student from super acceleration, those are legitimate reasons. Okay, now the last one's touchy. If we have a teacher and student that absolutely do not get along and all options have been exhausted, then we look into a teacher change. Now, at that point, there must be a parent teacher conference. Okay. All right. Now, these are not legitimate reasons for students to request a schedule change. And we hear them. We hear them all the time. I don't like my class. I don't like my teacher. Nope, not legitimate. Okay, I'm sorry, but sometimes you have to take a class you don't like, and sometimes you have to deal with people that are not your favorite people on earth. I want to be with my friends. They're in this class. I want to be there. Nope, not a legitimate reason. I'm bored. Okay, talk to your teacher if you're bored. Your teacher can certainly give you more challenging work. And I want to try something else. I did a year. I did a semester of guitar. I'd like to try creative writing. No, doesn't work that way. Like I said earlier, electives are for the entire year, with a few exceptions. Most of our electives are for the entire year. Guitar and intermediate and advanced guitar are definitely for the entire year, and creative writing is for the entire year. Okay? So, like I said, these are not the only reasons, but the ones on the right are the ones we hear most often. And, if you have a question about a schedule change, feel free to contact the counseling office. Okay. STEM Tank. So, first semester STEM Tank ended in December, the last week before winter break with our wonderful finals. So now we're into semester 2, and it's time for STEM Tank semester 2. Things are going to be a little different this year, or this semester, I should say. And here's what I mean by that. Whomever your child had for their STEM Tank mentor for semester 1 is going to be their STEM Tank mentor for semester 2. No change. Those of you with 7th and 8th graders know that over the past couple of years, there was a change from first semester to second semester with STEM Tank mentors. That is not the case anymore. Okay, so whoever your child was with for semester 1, they're going to continue to be with that person for semester 2. Here's something new. Students are going to be allowed to choose their STEM Tank groups. Again, this is brand new. I don't know that this has been done before. Certainly not in the 2 years I've been here, or 1.5 years that I've been here. Anyway, as I'm speaking to you, a form went out to students from Dr. Filkevich, the principal, about an hour ago, maybe a little over an hour ago, where they got to pick, they get to choose who's in their STEM Tank group with them. Instead of being assigned groups, they get to pick the people they want to work with. So my presentation says during the first week of January. That's now. And they have until next Friday, January 14th. Okay. Now, if they do not turn in a form or they do not, choose to be in a particular group by next Friday, January 14th, they will be placed in a group by their mentor. Okay. So the Google form went out, like I said, a little over an hour ago. I know the 7th grade has been chomping at the bit to get this form because I got all kinds of emails about it this morning. So it's there. And I spoke to both lunches about it today. So they know it's there and they can pick their groups. All right. So for my 6th grade parents, if your child is a 6th grader at Lead and is going to continue with us through 7th and 8th grade, you do not need to turn in a magnet application like you did when they were in 5th grade. You do not. Once they're ours for the rest of their time, in middle school. The exception would be if you withdraw them. Okay, but my point is this: you do not need to turn in a new magnet application every year. The one that you turned in when your child was a fifth grader is legit and is going to apply to seventh and eighth grade. Excuse me. For my seventh grade parents, same deal. You don't have to turn in a new magnet application. Um, the next time that you will most likely fill out a magnet application will be when your child applies to a magnet high school. Okay. Okay. So I'm speaking to my sixth grade parents right now. Um, your child is going to be asked next month for February to choose a CTE program here at Lead. Now, we have 3 magnet or CTE programs at Lead, and your child is going to choose one to join in February. And he or she will continue in that program through 7th grade and 8th grade. Okay. So 6th graders get a taste of all 3 CTE programs with their STEM class in 6th grade. In 7th and 8th grade, they take classes that are specific to their CTE program. The STEM class in 6th grade covers all of them, but the class that they're going to take in 7th and 8th grade is for a specific CTE program. So they're in that program for 2 years. As I said, they make the choice in February. They cannot change. This is not a situation where a student says, I think I'm going to try robotics, and if I'm not into it, then I'll move to architecture, construction, and technology. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. Just like the electives, we want the students to stick with the CTE program for the rest of their time. Well, for the rest of their time at Lead. Okay. Now, the selection process is like this. Mrs. Sims can accommodate 200 students in each program. So she's going to go down the list of students that submit their forms. It's a Google form. Once that form is turned in, then they're going to be added to a list. And the list is going to be in the order that the forms were turned in. So she will go down that list and she will give the students their first choice. Now, once she reaches 200 students in a particular program, that program is closed and she moves on to the second and third choices that the students made. So my point is first come, first served. It's very important that kids get their forms turned in on time. Okay. All right. Now, here's a little bit more detailed information on each of our CTE programs. I'm not going to read this to you. You can pause the presentation if you'd like, so you can get all the info. But I'm going to give you a nutshell explanation of each one. Computer science and cybersecurity. Basically, how does the computer work from the inside out? And how do we keep our computers safe? That's the cybersecurity component. How do we keep our computers safe? So that's the computer science and cybersecurity program. Next up is robotics, automation, and manufacturing. Basically, designing, building, programming, using robotics. And more importantly, using robotics to benefit us and exploring how the use of robotics benefits us. Again, nutshell explanation. It's a lot more involved than that. And finally, architecture, construction, and technology. Just as it says, building buildings, building structures. But a key component of our architecture, construction, and technology program is green architecture, conservation. Okay, helping the earth, conserving our natural resources. How do we build and continue to conserve our natural resources? Big focus of the ACT program. Again, I'm just giving you a nutshell explanation. Okay, so what have we done? What are we doing? What will we do in the future? Let me tell you, classroom visits are on the docket. Mrs. Sims is going to be popping into sixth grade classrooms. Don't have a date nailed down. Don't have a particular class nailed down. She's going to this month. I know it's this month. What's she going to discuss with them? Academic plans, using kind words, and problem solving. So the academic plan is your child's roadmap for the rest of their time in middle school. What courses are they going to take in seventh grade, eighth grade? Okay. They'll do one in high school too when they're freshmen. But as a sixth grader, they have to complete it for all of middle school. My seventh graders did it last year. Um, okay, so that's what Mrs. Sims is going to discuss. I have started a conversation with my seventh graders. I started back in November. I popped into their history classes to talk about stress and stress management. Um, as I said, this is the start of the conversation, so I'm going to continue to visit. I'm going to drop in on them this month, and we're going to continue our conversation about stress. I mentioned to my kiddos that there was a difference between good and bad stress, and it absolutely blew their minds. They did not consider that there's such a thing as good stress. So that's going to be my focus the next time we visit. And then Mrs. Murray's got a lot to talk to her eighth graders about, including when she sees them this January, transcripts. She's going to talk to students about transcripts and the importance of having a complete transcript. Transcripts obviously are a huge part of high school. So she wants to get students in the habit of considering their transcript and viewing their transcript and understanding their transcript. She's also going to talk about conflict resolution and stress management because we know at all three grade levels they are stressed. We're all stressed. I think the world is stressed. So we're all trying to hit upon that with our students. Okay. We shifted our focus as of the 5th of January, as of yesterday. We came back, we the counselors, we came back with a mindset of getting the students ready for what comes next. Okay. For our eighth graders, get them ready for high school. For my seventh graders, get them ready for eighth grade. For the sixth graders, get them ready for seventh grade. So we've shifted our focus. This is what we're going to be focusing on in the counseling office. So what does that entail? Well, as I mentioned, for eighth graders, Mrs. Murray is going to have high school presentations for them. She's going to talk to them about high school credits. Okay, magnet applications, they're due on January 11th. So that's a week from next Tuesday. I'm sorry, that is next Tuesday. The magnet applications are due. So that's right around the corner. Okay. And of course, she wants to hear from students when they get accepted to particular high schools or any high school. She wants to hear from her eighth graders. I'm going to talk to my seventh graders about what's coming next year. Eighth grade's big year, really important. High school credits, yes, my seventh graders will have the opportunity next year to take at least 3 high school credit courses. English 9 honors, Algebra 1 or Geometry honors, Biology honors. That's 3 high school credit courses. So I want to impress upon my students how important that is. I will have some high school presentations that they can attend along with the eighth graders. And then Mrs. Sims is going to address the CTE programs, which I've already discussed, and then the electives that are available to students in seventh grade, because there are many more electives students can take in seventh grade than they were able to take in sixth grade. So that warrants a discussion. And by the way, Mrs. Sims and I are both going to open up the elective choices to our students in February, and we'll send out the Google Forms. There's 2 Google Forms for the sixth grade. There's a CTE program form and an elective selection form for the sixth grade. For the seventh grade, there's only one form, and it's the elective selection form. Okay, the Panorama Survey. This is a survey that asks students about their well-being. How are they feeling? How are they feeling on campus? Do they feel like they're fitting in? Are they making friends? Do they need somebody to talk to? It's given 3 times a year. It was started last year. You may have heard from your child's counselor last year or a staff member at your child's school regarding Panorama results. So it's given 3 times each year. January will be the second window. Okay, January 11th, a very important day. Next Tuesday, the window opens. As I said, they're going to answer questions about their well-being. Based on their responses, we make contact with them. So if they answer in such a way that we feel it would benefit them to hear from an adult, then we reach out to them. Either face to face, we call them into the office, or we arrange a Google Meet. Well, now that they're back on campus, 9 times out of 10 is face to face. And it may not be a counselor that's reaching out. We have some staff, we have administrators that are part of the Panorama team, and we also have teachers who are part of the Panorama team. Miss Bradford, whom I mentioned earlier, our safe school professional, she's a part of the Panorama team. So you may hear from one of us. So we base we base some of our classroom visits on Panorama survey results. The reason I spoke to seventh graders in November about stress is because that was the number one issue identified on the Panorama survey of my seventh graders. They're stressed out. So if you're going to talk to your students about the Panorama survey, please tell them to please be honest. This is a great way for us to get in touch with students that we may not otherwise hear from. Students don't always want to come to us if they're upset or they need to talk to somebody for whatever reason. This is a way that they can do it anonymously, and then they can have a caring adult reach out to them and say, hey, I just want to see if you're doing okay. So we need them to be honest. Okay, GoGuardian. Many of you know GoGuardian is a program installed on all district Chromebooks. Okay, it's basically a security failsafe. Okay, it monitors students' activity on their Chromebook and lets us, those of us that are on the team, on the GoGuardian team, lets us know if they're using their Chromebooks for something other than schoolwork, something that's inappropriate. Basically, it boils down to two alerts. We get two types of alerts. One is the explicit alert, and that's basically sexual content. And the second is self-harm, which is, cutting, threatening to cut, threatening to hurt themselves, threatening to kill themselves, researching, how do I die? What do I do if I want to kill myself? In both cases, we reach out to the students. Sometimes it's a mistake and we can see it's a mistake and we can dismiss it. But 9 times out of 10, we will still make contact with that student and that parent. If it's a self-harm alert, I guarantee you we're going to get in touch with you and let you know. Even if it's to let you know that we spoke to the student and he or she is not in any danger, we're still going to reach out to you and let you know, so that you're in the loop. And maybe you have some information that can help us. Students that are using their own devices, we can't necessarily monitor. So if your child's using a Chromebook from home, we can't guarantee that they're not using it for something they shouldn't be, because we don't know if it has GoGuardian on it. GoGuardian is through the school district. Now, I want to go off on a little bit of a tangent right now and address something. Parents, please, please, please monitor your children's Chromebook use, and watch out for a website called Discord. I've gotten several complaints about Discord. I've had some issues with students using Discord, and it's never good. It's never good. Students are utilizing Discord to get around programs like GoGuardian. So they're posting stuff on Discord and posting pictures on Discord and having conversations on Discord, and we don't get alerts. And a lot of it is inappropriate, to be honest. Now, Discord started as a video game site, and people still use it. They record themselves playing video games. My concern as a counselor is students are using it, like I said, to get around those GoGuardian parameters. So please, take a look at your child's Chromebook. If you see Discord, encourage them or insist that they close it down. Don't use it. There are nefarious individuals outside of the school district who are attempting to get in touch with our students using Discord. No good. Okay. Safe Voice. Safe Voice is an anonymous tip line. If your child has a friend who's threatening to hurt themselves, threatening to kill themselves, being abused, using drugs at school, using drugs before school, drinking, this is an anonymous way for your child to report that, or for you to report that. So it's a there are two links in this presentation. I got one link for students and one link for parents. Um, you click on the link, you fill out the form, and then an alert goes to our principal. Okay, and then in some cases, the alert goes to the police, and then they follow up with us and the student, and we find out, what's all the information, and what steps need to be taken to keep this person safe. Um, so it's a wonderful way. It's open 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365, as it says, and it's anonymous. I would also suggest, if your child knows a student who is in one of these situations, it's a good idea to also reach out to an adult. Okay. In addition to the safe voice. Okay. Incident reports. Um, there's a link for incident reports on your child's Chromebook. It looks like a stop sign and it says report an incident. Um, this is a way for students to report issues that are happening on campus. Um, maybe not as serious as a student threatening to kill themselves. Okay. But if a student's being picked on, if somebody's taking their money, or tripping them on the way to class, or they have an uncomfortable run-in with a staff member, this is where that gets reported. Okay. We have students come to us all the time, and I know I personally am constantly referring students to the incident reports. Um, they report issues such as threats, harassment, bullying, drug and alcohol use. Okay. Um, Incident reports are reviewed by Mrs. Williams, the assistant principal over in the SAFE's um, student success office, right across the hall from us. And she gets inundated with incident reports. But she makes sure to touch base with the students. And if she needs to get in touch with you regarding the incident report, she certainly will. Oops. Um, okay, so Infinite Campus. We, the counselors, we do not manage Infinite Campus information. Kids ask us all the time, I need my Infinite Campus password. We don't have that. We do have access to their usernames, and we can help students reset their passwords, but we don't control that. Okay. Um, when it comes to parents logging into Infinite Campus, I'm just going to be honest, we're clueless and useless. If you need help logging into Infinite Campus, I would refer you to our registrar, Mrs. Pearson, Tamika Pearson. There's her extension on the screen. She has access to parents' login information. Now, worst case scenario, there's a wonderful hotline down there that you can call to get help from experts, technicians. They monitor the phones all day long. Their job is to answer questions about Infinite Campus and solve Infinite Campus issues. So 702-799-7678. I give it out on an almost daily basis. It's a great number for you to call to get help with Infinite Campus. These are the experts, not us. Okay. Here are some important dates for you to be aware of. I mentioned the 11th several times. Next Tuesday, January 11th, that panorama survey that I discussed with you, that opens. Okay. There's a window to get it done. I can't tell you for sure. Yes, it's going to happen next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Our administrator is given a window, complete the survey at the school by this date. So, could be next Tuesday that your child takes the survey, could be 2 weeks from now. We are going to host our next cast off Q&A on January 20th. That's a Thursday. So that's your chance after you viewed this presentation to come with your questions and get them answered live. All four of us should be there. Can't ever guarantee, but the plan is for all four of us to be there. And, we'd love to see your face and talk to you in person and answer any questions you have. If you want to be a part of that, we will send out a link. And if you click on that link, then you will get an invite to the Google Meet on the 20th. I don't know when that's coming out, but it should be coming out soon. Monday the 17th, there is no school in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So nobody comes to school on Monday the 17th. And as I mentioned earlier, starting February, The sixth and seventh graders will be looking at choosing electives. Okay, sixth and seventh graders are going to start choosing their electives. Sixth graders are also going to be looking into those CTE programs that I told you about. Mrs. Sims is going to send out the Google form for the students to choose their CTE programs. She will also, I believe, present to the classes. I am going to pop into seventh grade classes and make sure that my seventh graders are choosing their electives on the Google form. Eighth graders, nothing for you to do. Okay. All right. I want to thank you for viewing this today. Thank you for all your support. We wish you a belated Happy New Year. Happy 2022. It can only get better from here, right? Um, we'll see you on the 20th of January for our cast off Q&A. And if you ever have any questions, the best way to get a hold of us, honestly, is email. But we pick up the phone too. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.